Hello, hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in and for joining this conversation that we have today. My name is Yash. I lead the team at PPI, and today we have an interaction with CMGGAs, right, which is Chief Minister's Good Governance Associates. This absolutely wonderful fellowship based out of the state of Haryana, which allows an opportunity for people from across different fields and backgrounds to work with the Chief Minister's office, right, in Haryana and at the district level, at the grassroots, and bring about change in all shapes and form. Have been a farm of this fellowship, this program myself for long, and I'm just very grateful that given the kind of interest that this receives every year, and since the applications, right, are ongoing currently. I think they're till the 22nd of May, if I'm not mistaken, right, for CMGG this year. So we thought we'll just bring together this interaction, and it may help you as you go about applying yourself. So we'll do a quick round of introductions. Maybe we'll just start with Arunima first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arunima Chandra. I am a lawyer by profession. I graduated from National Law University, Patiala in 2015, and I specialized in international law. And because of my interest in human rights, humanitarian law, and refugee law, I decided to work in the domain of human rights. So I litigated at the Supreme Court as a junior counsel for a year, and then I found the opportunity of LAMP fellowship. So I got selected in the fellowship, and that's how my journey in the public policy space began. I was working with Mr. Naresh Gujral. He's the party leader of Shiromani Akali Dal, and I was a research aide for him as well as other members of Akali Dal party. After that, I wanted to understand the execution part of policy. So by then, I had learned the judiciary, the legislature, and I wanted to learn the executive part of the government. So I decided to apply for CMGGA, and I luckily got selected. I was posted in the district of Gurugram, and I worked there for a year with the district administration and some 20 different government departments at the village, block, district, as well as state level. And then from there, I wanted to understand national level policy making. So I went to Niti Aayog. I was a young professional there for 8-9 departments: water, land, environment, law, tourism, culture, panchayati raj, water, sanitation, waste management, etc. And then I took a break for a while. I was writing a case study with a professor of Harvard University. It was on a solid waste management related case. And I briefly worked with the professor of IT Kanpur on air pollution related reports. And since then, around 7 months ago, I joined an organization, a not-for-profit called Air Pollution Action Group. It's based out of Delhi, and it focuses on the problem of air pollution management, air quality improvement in Delhi and NCR. So I'm a program manager there, and that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Arunima. We'll go to Ayush next.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayush. I was a CMGG last year. I was posted in the district of Bhiwani. I have my background in public policy and political science. I have worked as a LAMP fellow, as a legislative assistant to member of parliament. I've worked with the governments of Odisha and Madhya Pradesh on rural economy and Manrega and education and women empowerment before I came to CMGJ. Currently, I'm at Central Square Foundation. We work in education, and currently my team particularly is working with 7 state governments on foundational learning. And that's mostly about me.
Thank you, Ayush. Shubham.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and I've worked for 3 years in a US-based consultancy firm called Grant Thornton. Talking about my experience in the government space or in the public sector, I have an experience of working in my father's NGO as an administrator. The name of the NGO is Utthan Seva Trust, and we usually, had distributed clothes, organized health camps for the vulnerable population. Apart from it, I also had organized Yamuna Padyatra and events related to sustainable environment, Yamuna rejuvenation in the year 2021. So that was my experience in the government space prior to CMGGA. Right now, I'm a CMGGA and posted in Rohtak district.
Awesome. Thanks, Shubham. And finally, we'll go to Gaurav.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I have my background in economics and public policy. And in terms of work experience, I have worked as a political consultant in 2019 Lok Sabha elections. And now I am posted as an associate in Bhiwani. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks a ton, Gaurav. So again, for our audiences, the breakup is loosely like this, right? So we have two current associates, right, and two former associates who have all gone on to build wonderful careers of their own. We'll quickly get started with the one question that we get the most, and at least I and we at PPI have been flooded with over the last couple of weeks, which is admissions, right? Like the application process. I mean, so breaking it up into two loose bits. First is the form per se, right? The application per se that we make, and second is the interviews, right? I'll go first to Shubham and Gaurav. In fact, anyone on the panel, right? If you want to jump in, since all of you have been associates at some point, please feel free to. But on the form per se, right? Like that we fill up to apply. What's the process like, and is there something you would recommend that people strictly follow while applying?
Yeah, Gaurav, you want to take that?
Yeah. So application process is pretty simple. As in, you get two questions. One question could be policy related, and one question could be why do you want to join this program? And of course, you have your CV. So, in terms of why do you want to join this program, I would say just be honest in your application, and just do not say the right thing, because everyone wants to hear the right things. And later on, if you join this program, you will realize that by just saying the right things might not be the right approach. So you also mean what you are saying. So just be honest, I would say, in your application process. And the subsequent rounds would be, of course, once you get shortlisted, it would be group discussion and personal interviews, and one more interview which we have with government officials. So yeah, I mean, Shubham, you can talk about the group discussion. How was it for you, and what can people expect in that round?
I think we lost Shubham there. Is the screen frozen? I think so. He's facing internet issues. No worries.
That's okay. I'll talk a little
Sure.
about the interview process and everything. So yeah, as Gaurav was saying, there's a written round where you apply and you have one policy question and one SOP question where you talk about your intent to join the fellowship. This year they have also introduced a new question that wasn't there when we applied for the fellowship, which is how would you contribute to development of Haryana by joining the fellowship?
Okay.
And then there's a voice note which you share about your intent. It's very similar to the SOP written question, and the application process is very simple. It's basically the first round usually gets around 4,000 to 5,000 applicants. At least that was the case last year, I think. And it boils down to 300 or 400 odd people who are interviewed at later stages. Second round is the group interview stage, where again, you have a policy question or any other topic. I remember the topic I had was One Nation, One Election.
Okay.
And third is the interview round, where you have two interviews. One is a technical interview, a case study round mostly, and second is with a senior government official who looks at your intent to join the fellowship, the program, and what has been your past background, and if you would be a cultural fit for the role, especially given that you will be working with government stakeholders.
Yeah.
The opinion of a government stakeholder would be very important there.
Okay. Maybe just building on that, Shubham, since, as Ayush mentioned that they've added some new questions and updations there, what was that round like for you? Like, especially the interviews and the panel discussion. Is there anything that you would recommend people follow while giving those rounds?
Yeah, my case was a very peculiar one because, I was switching from a core finance background to this government space.
Yeah.
So basically मेरे जो questions थे वो address ये होते थे कि भाई आपको CMGG क्यों join करना है, इस sector में क्यों आना है आप?
Yeah.
So I had to answer that why, and so हर candidate का वो why strong होना चाहिए कि CMGG program या फिर इस program में आपको क्यों आना है. सो यस मेरे लिए तो वो बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस था ऑफिसर्स के साथ. लाइक मेरा जो इंटरव्यू था वो कोविड, उस टाइम पे कोविड काफी प्रेवलेंट था, सो कोविड रिलेटेड केस स्टडीज काफी पूछे थे. सो टू द कैंडिडेट्स ऑल्सो, आजकल के जो भी इश्यूज हैं उस पर फोकस करें 3-4 महीने के, एंड परहैप्स उसी से क्वेश्चन आपके स्ट्रॉन्ग बन सकते हैं.
I'll quickly jump to Arunima with this next question, which is, Arunima, like, as you recently shared that you had already had a very strong background in policy, right, with LAMP, and of course, especially then you with Niti Aayog as well, and now with APAG, and of course CMGG in between. But if you can throw some light on the fact that, do you think there's a preference for people with a certain background predisposition, right? Like, do you think there's a, I mean, of course, Shubham is an example of that. If you have a say finance background or legal background, you can make it here, of course. But still, all throughout the course of you being an associate and even while applying for it, do you think there's people of a certain background have an advantage, or how does that play out?
I don't think so, Yash. So I think the selections are pretty agnostic in that sense, because we had associates from medical background, from engineering, from humanities, from economics. So it was a mixed bag. Basically, the 2-3 major things that they look for in a candidate is, number one, your honest excitement, your zeal, and your passion for development space, right, irrespective of what your background, educational background has been. How do you perceive a society should be like? It's okay if you're a little idealistic at that stage. So that excitement should come across, because it's a very rigorous job. Nobody tells you that it's such a demanding and challenging role that you're supposed to know everything about everything. So you'd be working till 8:30 in the evening, and then be studying all over the night. So you have to become an expert overnight over different subjects, because you are supposed to be answerable for those questions in different meetings. So it's a very rigorous role. So you have to have that passion for the field. Otherwise, you will not sustain. Otherwise, you'll burn out very quickly. So that is one thing that they look for in the candidate. The second thing that they see, I think, so a lot of people say that I am passionate about things, but passion alone does not solve anything. Skills do.
Yeah.
So your analytical skills, your creative thinking, your ability to adapt, your flexibility to change your approach, because this 1 year is marred by a lot of failures. You'll fail at most things, then you will succeed. So you have to constantly rethink and rejig your approach to different things. So that is another important aspect. And I think the third thing, I mean, it's a no-brainer that you have to be a people's person. The stakeholder management is like the 90% of role work that a CMGG is supposed to do. Government departments are infamous for not interacting with each other. So CMGG is that bridge. So they have to speak to each other, get everybody together on the same platform, in the same forum, and talk. And also because you are alone in the district as the representative of the highest office of that state. Yeah. You are CM Fellow, so you have to have that sort of conduct of speaking with different officers, and you'll face all different kinds of stakeholders, from very underprivileged and illiterate population to some megalomaniac politician, to some very efficient and smart officers, to some very, very difficult officers and people. And regular citizens also are very often, very, very difficult to deal with sometimes for CMGG. So you have to have that tact, that attitude, that modesty, as well as assertiveness. So it's a combination of, your behavioral skills, your technical skills, a lot of other things. So I think background does not matter as long as, all these basic criteria are met. So education, I don't think, plays a very important role.
This is very helpful, Arunima. I'll quickly jump on to Ayush for the next thing, just building on what you said. Ayush, if you could throw some light on, and especially, there's something that you keep discussing, that what is a typical, I know there's no typical day for CMGGA, something or the other keeps coming up, but still, if you can generalize to an extent, what is a typical day for an associate apply?
I think, Yash, you answered the thing yourself. There's no typical day.
Yeah.
There would be days when I would have a 14-hour day, and something I want to pick up from what Arunima was saying. She said that we had long days, and I absolutely loved those long days. I would be in my office at 9 and I wouldn't mind that. I would be on a call with someone at 11 p.m. and I wouldn't mind that. I'm not saying, like, I don't want to scare off people by saying that it's really rigorous. I want to communicate that it was rigorous, but it was so enjoyable that you didn't mind the rigor. And in fact, I think what was asked for by the managers was probably only 20% of what I was putting in. The rest 80% was coming from my own motivation because of the kind of opportunity it was.
Right.
So there's no typical day. It's just you have 1 year. It's almost like a sprint rather than a marathon, even if it's a 1 year, and you're just putting your feet on the pedal and trying to just do as much as you can because you enjoy the experience so much.
Just building on that, Gaurav, if I can ask you, what are the responsibilities for an associate? Like, I know ki in details, chota mota, there's a lot of stuff that keeps coming up, right, in terms of tasks. But broadly speaking, what are the responsibilities that are given to you as when you begin?
Yeah, in terms of responsibilities, so there are certain state mandates जहाँ पे आपको 5-6 government की policies, whether you have to implement those policies or you have to give real-time feedback on those policies to the state or to the
Right.
CM's office.
Right.
So you do that, and that is a very enjoyable process in itself. और उसमें आपके कुछ ऐसे projects होते हैं where you are conducting reviews with your DC, with your ADCs, SDMs, CTMs, so and of course with all the departments. So that in itself, you get to interact with the departments, and you understand how everyone is functioning in the district. And that is one bit where you get to meet everyone in a room, and then you individually visit those departments and you speak to them. You get to know so many nuances that is happening on the ground, and your mind would get blown. It's like, oh, I did not know this, that this is happening, and I wasn't aware about this. So that happens a lot. And the most beautiful thing about this program is that apart from the state mandates, you have so much freedom to do things on your own.
Okay.
So many people would come, as Arunima was saying, the passion would not just do. So you'd have to have zeal also. So yep, and we have seen in the last 5 or 6 batches that associates have done a lot of tremendous things. So they also get to experience districts in terms of however they want to experience it, and the kind of things that they want to do. Someone would be interested in bringing in intervention in, say, education or in livelihood, and we have seen that people do it, and they also become state projects. So in terms of experience, as in of implementing a policy and of designing something of your own, it's just a beautiful journey, I would say, Ash.
That's great insights, Gaurav. I'll quickly come to you, Shubham. And this is a question that actually I also sometimes wonder about, because I realize how important a component of this whole program the team at Ashoka University is, right? But if I can ask you, what is the role that's played there? In the sense, are there educational workshops also which are conducted for you, training workshops, and what is the role that Ashoka University plays in all of this?
Yeah, so Ashoka University plays a very important role. So basically, they conduct different sessions, basically capacity and building sessions in between our forums.
Okay.
Basically, एक forum ऐसे एक platform होता है जहाँ पे CMGGs 2-3 महीने के बाद sort of reunion होता है, and 3-4 दिन के लिए वहाँ पे हम modules के बारे में discuss करते हैं कि जो हमने काम किया plus जो हम आगे वाले काम हम करने वाले हैं. तो वो सारे सेशंस पहले अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी में होते थे, बट अब हमारे टाइम पे वो आईटी दिल्ली में हो गए थे ड्यू टू कोविड पेंडेमिक. अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी वाज क्लोज डाउन, बट आवर फोरम टुक प्लेस इन आईटी दिल्ली. सो वहाँ पे डिफरेंट सेशंस भी होते हैं. हमारे जो पीटी बेसिकली टीम होती है वो इंश्योर करती है कि हमारी कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग भी हो, डिफरेंट एरियाज में हमारी नॉलेज बढ़ती रहे. सो प्रोमिनेंट रोल अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी का ये रहता है. बाकी प्रोग्राम टीम होती है, वो ऑब्वियसली सपोर्ट करती है. डेली हमारे साथ बड़ी कॉल्स होती हैं, एंड हैंड होल्डिंग प्रॉपर्ली होती है फॉर ऑल द CMGG एसोसिएट्स. तो वो अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी का ओवरऑल रोल रहता है.
Okay. If I can quickly ask you something, Arunima, what are the main challenges that you faced while you were an associate?
Wow. Okay. So, Yash, I was the second batch of CMGGA.
Okay.
So the program was new, the concept was new, the acceptance was very low.
Yeah.
And literally one person was carrying the entire program on his shoulder and listening to everybody's, cuss words and everything. So, and a lot of people had this misconception about who the hell are CMGG is. ये CM साहब ने जासूस छोड़ दिए हैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट में जो हम पे नजर रखते हैं, या ये RSS वाले लोग हैं, इनका एक पर्टिकुलर कोई पॉलिटिकल इंक्लिनेशन है. a lot of people wanted to get in our good books because they thought that इनको पटा के रखो तो कुछ बनेगी बात आगे हमको award मिलेगा and all. But a lot of people were, reluctant to accept us in the system because we were outsiders and we would get to know a lot of things and then we would spill out all those things in front of the CM. So वो trust build करना, वो relationship build करना, ये सभी difficulties थी. Program की credibility और हमारी खुद की as associates को credibility build करना that we are here to aid you. We are, you lack intelligible human resource in the system.
Yeah.
The senior most officers are IAS officers and HCS officers. They're brilliant people, but the team that they work with is not as brilliant, to put it delicately. So, I'm not saying that you need us, but we are here, so might as well use us. So, वो inroads create करने में थोड़ा सा शुरुआत में problem हुई थी. I think the second challenge was, so when you're a CMGG, you're very young, you're very new, 24-25 साल, 23 साल के आप बच्चे होते हो, आपको क्या पता है गवर्नेंस क्या होती है और कैसे systems work करते हैं. So understanding these things, there are multiple teams, multiple projects, state के, district के, इनके, उनके. So many sectors, like Gaurav said, livelihood है और education है, public health है. आपको suddenly medical के बारे में कुछ पढ़ना पड़ रहा है, आपको suddenly law के बारे में कुछ पढ़ना है. मैं civil engineering and hydrogeology पढ़ी हूँ और मतलब क्या कुछ नहीं पढ़ना पड़ता आपको to understand different things. So understanding different government systems, understanding different sectors, subjects, understanding the egos of different stakeholders. इनको कैसे मैनेज करना है, इनसे कैसे बात करी जाए, कितनी बार बात करी जाए, किस टोन में बात करी जाए, कहाँ पे आप एजर्ट करो, कहाँ पे आप पीछे बैकफुट पे खेलो. तो initially ये सारी problems थी, but eventually it takes about 3 to 4 months to properly settle in and start reaching the peak of your productivity. So ये challenges धीरे धीरे dilute हो जाते हैं, आप system accept कर लिए जाते हो, सबको समझ में आ जाता है कि ये honesty से अपना काम कर रहे हैं, इनको परेशान मत करो, इनको करने दो. So we were utilized pretty well.
Amazing.
That's it, yeah.
Amazing. If I can ask you this, Ayush, what is the linkage between the district magistrate, who's like the core, the node of the administrative setup in the district? What's the linkage between the DM and the CMGGA like? What does that relationship look like? You're on mute, one second.
Difficult question, and I think any CMGG and all these people here with me would relate. People can talk for hours about that relationship, but no, I think the best part about this program is you have different people you're accountable to. There are different people you're reporting to, and there are different people you're working along with. And I think that's the kind of relationship we have with the district magistrates in Haryana are called deputy collectors, DCs. That's the kind of relationship we have with DCs, because we are deriving our legitimacy, I would say, from the Chief Minister's office itself, and there's a professionally run program because there's a project management unit running it, and they're designing the entire module and everything. So it gives us space to engage and interact with the deputy commissioners and work along with them, even start our own district initiatives. And sometimes CMGGs find a lot of synergy between what they want to do and what the deputy collector wants to do. For example, both me and my deputy collector wanted to work a lot in women empowerment, and that was the synergy which really broke the boundary for us. Because as Aruna was speaking, IAS officers, the Haryana Civil Services officers, the non-civil services clerks and other machinery, they're all these people who suddenly have another foreign person walk into their system. So there would be a stakeholder relationship building. There would be a lot of things that would happen. The same goes with the deputy commissioners. The same goes with other officers. And that's the kind of learning that you have to how to work along with the government, how to work along with the people and understand how government thinks. And I think another thing that I would say is I was on a call with a senior IAS officer last night. She said a beautiful thing that Arunima speaking something of reminded me of. She said, she was very skeptical of the CMGG program in the first 1 or 2 years. There were words used about CMGG program where the spy and everything that Arunima used. And now she says she is one of the major champions of the program. She in herself was skeptical कि ये लोग क्या करेंगे 25-26 साल के बच्चे. But she she was in Palwal last year, and she worked very closely with the CMGG Palwal on a lot of initiatives. So that way, I think that change in mindset of the government and acceptance towards CMGG program has also come as part of the work that we have been able to do. It's testimony to the kind of work that the previous batches of CMGG have been able to do, that acceptance and just zeal to work along with CMGJs rather than shy away from them has come.
I'm going to ask this to you, Gaurav, because I saw in the newspaper like coverage on this recently, that basically the question is, like, as Ayush and Arunima, even Shubham mentioned earlier, that you can do a personal project of your own at the district level. What was it for you? And if you can just broadly also give, how does it work?
Yeah, as I said, the best thing that I like about this program is this, that you can do whatever you want to do. And then Ayush said, if you're aligning well with your deputy commissioners, then there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
So in my case also, and you're talking about the astronomy labs here. So yeah, I pitched that idea to my deputy commissioner, and he was like, yeah, do it. And of course, it's not always like do it. They would always ask for the logic and the reason behind it. Why are you doing this? Is this going to benefit our district or schools in some way?
Yeah.
So all that process happens.
Yeah.
And it happened. So we aligned, and finally we were able to do it. So Bhiwani became one of the first districts in Haryana, जहाँ पे 3 सरकारी schools में ये astronomy labs लगाई गई, और chief minister ने इसको inaugurate किया. Wow. So yeah, it was and the best thing is not just about doing something. The hard thing comes after that. कि जो चीज आपने की है, क्या उसका कोई इम्पैक्ट हो पा रहा है. एक चीज होती है कि आप कोई चीज करते हो और आपकी स्टोरी बन जाती है. तो दैट इज वन थिंग. उसके बाद ये कि यार आपने कोई चीज की, उसका फर्क कुछ दिख रहा है आपको. हो सकता है आप 1 साल के लिए यहाँ पर हो और बहुत ज्यादा आपको फर्क नहीं दिखेगा या नहीं सुनने में आएगा, बट एटलीस्ट आप कुछ इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट कर पा रहे हो या नहीं किसी की जिंदगी में. तो इन दैट केस आई वुड से कि जैसे हमने एस्ट्रोनॉमी लैब्स यहाँ पर लगाई, तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने अब जैसे मैं अपना एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि मैंने कभी अपने स्कूल लाइफ में टेलीस्कोप के थ्रू कुछ नहीं देखा था अपनी लाइफ में. मैंने टेलीस्कोप भी नहीं देखा था, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. तो कहीं ना कहीं आपकी भी कुछ पर्सनल चीजें होती हैं जो कसक रह जाती है ना मन में, कि यार ये मेरी लाइफ में नहीं था. हो सकता है कि मैं यहाँ पर अब बहुत सारे लोगों के साथ काम कर रहा हूँ, तो ये मैं उनको अगर दे पाऊँ तो मेरे लिए बड़ा अच्छा होगा और उनके लिए भी बहुत अच्छा होगा. तो थोड़ा सा पर्सनल एम्बिशन भी और थोड़ा सा बहुत सारा मुझसे दूसरों के लिए करने की चाहत भी जो एक रहती है. तो उसका रिजल्ट ये हुआ कि अब बहुत सारे आपके प्राइवेट स्कूल्स के बच्चे और टीचर्स भी इन गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में आ रहे हैं, और हम जो है स्टार नाइट्स ऑर्गेनाइज कराते हैं. 30th मई को भी एक हमने प्रोग्राम ऑर्गेनाइज कराना है, तो ऑल ऑफ यू आर इनवाइटेड टू भिवानी. तो वी आर गोइंग टू हैव दैट. तो ये देख के बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि बच्चे गेट इंस्पायर्ड बाय दीज थिंग्स, क्योंकि एक वो होता है ना कि आप सरकारी स्कूल में जाओगे तो वही आपको क्लासरूम्स दिखेंगे, वही पंखे, वही डेस्क, वही टीचर्स. एक बहुत नीरसपन सा आ जाता है सबकी लाइफ में. तो कुछ और बच्चों की जिंदगी में ये होता है कि जब आप छोटे होते हो तो आपका दिमाग हर तरफ चलता है, आप नई नई चीज देखना चाहते हो, सीखना चाहते हो. तो इफ यू इंट्रोड्यूस समथिंग टू देम एट दैट स्टेज, तो वो भी बहुत क्यूरियस हो जाते हैं कि ये चीज कैसे काम करती है, इस चीज में हम आगे कैसे जा सकते हैं. तो आइडिया वाज दैट टू अराउज दैट क्यूरियोसिटी अमंग्स द स्टूडेंट्स और पेरेंट्स में भी कि ये चीज भी एग्जिस्ट करती है. कल्पना चावला भी हरियाणा प्रदेश से ही निकली है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ कल्पना चावला ही निकलेगी, और भी लोग निकल सकते हैं. तो that was one idea, and it got implemented, and it is doing really wonderfully here.
Great. Okay, one final round of questions, and I'm just so glad for all that we've been able to cover today. Quickly jumping on to you, Arunima, that in fact, Arunima and Ayush, if you want, you can take it up together, right? That since both of you are building such wonderful careers after the program as well. Career prospects after CMGGA. Like, I know myself that they are very bright, but then how does the program help? Maybe Anuma first, and then we can go to Ayush.
So Yash, the program keeps the doors open for all career options. A lot of people are UPSC aspirants and they do this experiment of 1 year as CMGGA and they try to get an understanding how much they love being or how much they would actually love being a civil servant.
Yeah.
So some people decide that okay, मुझे तो यही करना है, and some people decide कि नहीं मुझे ये नहीं करना है.
Yeah.
So that gives a lot of clarity to UPSC aspirants.
Yeah.
You can always go back to your previous circuit, your previous work. कुछ लोग corporate sector से आते हैं, development sector में कुछ stint करते हैं और फिर उसके बाद वो वापस चले जाते हैं. कुछ लोगों को इतना प्यार हो जाता है development sector से that they want to continue in the space.
Yeah.
So you have all sorts of options open in public policy, in think tanks, in NGOs, in corporates, in consultancies, in the financial institutes like World Bank, ADB, or government bodies, ministries, etc.
Yeah.
So all those options remain open. जो CMGG आपको सिखाता है, I mean, it's very difficult to encapsulate it in 2 sentences, but it makes you very resilient, I would say. I mean, resilient to a lot of changing circumstances, lot of ups and downs, multitasking, dealing with different kinds of people, different kinds of sectors, different kinds of subjects. Yeah. So it makes you a jack of all one. It gives you a lot of skills like perseverance and resilience. You become very physically, emotionally, and mentally fit because that is a requirement of CMGGA. If you're not that fit, you would not really like this job that much. So I think ये सब personal skills भी काफी आपकी change हो जाती हैं. Professional level में भी आपको बहुत तरीके की चीजें समझ में आती हैं. Plus जो ground level की आप realities देख चुके होते हो, वो आपको फिर आगे की पूरे career में आपको बहुत clarity देता है कि this would work on the ground and this would absolutely not work. So for example, for me at Niti Aayog, I was drafting policies I was making a contract for municipal corporation for solid waste management.
Okay.
Because I had worked with municipal corporation, I knew कि मैं इतना resource cost extensive project बनाऊंगी तो कभी नहीं चलने वाला है. I have seen what happens at the ULB level. So that is also an additional, knowledge and skill gap that CMGGA fills.
This almost answered another question I had about why CMGGA, but Ayush, why don't you go ahead, please?
Yeah, I think Arunima answered it beautifully. I think there are multiple aspects to it. I think just that understanding of ground reality and how things happen on the ground, how policies are actually implemented and executed on the ground is an experience and learning that you will carry forever. And I think even the people who were selected, the 24 other people I had with me in the program, I was very proud to be with them. I don't know what CMGGA program team does, but they are actually able to select the gems that the people are at perseverance, at resilience, and everything else. And the kind of people you meet, there's a lot of peer learning that you have from them as well every time you meet them at forum, and that's the field of to forum approach ka fayda. Other than that, I think just one unique thing about CMGGA is it's not just a district level program. Because you also interact with state level officials, you have state level modules, you get to learn about how things also function a little at the state. In terms of my career, I think there have been so many instances in the past 1 year that I have been out of the program where my director, who's worked with 20 states in his career, calls me out and says, Ayush batayega ki kya hota hai implementation, because Ayush has been a CMGJ. That's the kind of value add that you bring as a CMGJ, former CMGJ. And I think I've been working on a few things where it's been absolutely wonderful to have that CMGJ experience, because I am now currently setting up district project management units in some of the states we are working in. And that's wonderful. Just as a final word, I would also like to tell the audience 2-3 things they could go and look up in terms of resources for the admission process for CMGJ. I would highly recommend, please go and see the blogs that ex-CMGJs and the current CMGJs write. You can easily find that on the website. That's a rich source of information. There's a lot of information about the CMGJ program on the website. Secondly, there are 2 books that I read during the CMGJ program, which was so beautiful that I would ask you to read them just for the love of reading.
Yeah.
One is Flying in the High Winds by S.K. Mishra, and the second one is Three Lals of Haryana. Both of them have been written by ex-bureaucrats and are lovely books.
Awesome. Maybe a slightly personal question, and very quickly, Shubham, before we close this, but you made a switch to public policy with CMGG, right? From a co-finance background. Are you liking it? Do you want to stay here?
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier, मुझे नींद अच्छी नहीं आती थी, मुझे satisfaction नहीं लगता था मेरे corporate job में.
Yeah.
Like I used to satisfy my client, but right now I'm satisfying, the Antyodaya family, the Antyodaya परिवार.
Yeah.
और आपने पहले क्वेश्चन किया था ना कि एक CMGG का रोल क्या होता है, तो एक रोल ये भी होता है कि बेनिफिशियरी CM ऑफिस के, क्योंकि हम रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होते हैं, एक आस लगा के आता है वो.
Yeah.
एक उम्मीद से आता है कि ये मेरी चीज सीएम साहब को पहुंचाएंगे या डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल ऑफिशियल्स को बताएंगे.
Yeah.
कई बार क्या होता है, पब्लिक के लिए कोई सुनने वाला नहीं होता, तो एटलीस्ट हमें उनको एक सुनने वाला दिखता है, तो आई थिंक वो एक बहुत सेटिस्फेक्शन चीज होती है. और जब हम उनका काम करवा देते हैं, जैसे मैंने पेंशन बनवाई है लोगों की, मैंने डिफरेंट काम किए हैं, तो वो एक डिफरेंट रोल होता है जो बहुत सेटिस्फाइंग होता है. तो एज आई सेड, आई वुड वांट टू कंटिन्यू इन दिस फील्ड एंड यस, लेट्स सी.
Awesome. This is helpful. Thank you everyone for taking out the time. And most importantly, to be honest, thank you, Ayush, for putting this together, for getting everyone together. He's been indispensable and, a force that we should do this and we should put this out. Thank you for taking out the time. We'll speak soon, and, this will be, and for all the audiences tuning in, everyone from Arunima to Ayush to Gaurav to Shubham, they're all on LinkedIn, right? And you can feel free to, reach out to them, DM them, and I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to help. So thank you for joining us and taking out the time. Take care. Have a good day.